Denver won the toss, and they'll have the football to start. Phil Dawson ready to kick it off for the Cleveland Browns. This is the 26th meeting between these two teams, including 3 times in the AFC Championship game. It's a rivalry that has been dominated by Denver. They've won 20 of the 25 meetings, 8 straight, including last year in Cleveland when Denver rallied for 21 fourth-quarter points to win 34-30. And we are underway. Peyton Hillis is the deep man. A yard deep in the end zone, he brings it out. Upended at about the 23-yard line, and that's where they'll start, 1st and 10. And there's a turnover, and Cleveland has it.
Wow.
How about that?
Can you imagine that?
Blake Costanzo came away with the football.
Peyton Hillis, who Josh McDaniels thinks and refers to as one of the most reliable, probably the most reliable person with the ball in his hands on this team. Let's see if that ball, yeah, it has definitely popped out early before he hit the ground. No doubt about that one, Bob. Or Bill, I'm sorry. That's Coy Francis.
So a huge turnover early, and Cleveland will start at the Denver 22-yard line. Jamal Lewis alone in the backfield. Furry was the motion man. Wynn will throw on 1st down and hit as he released the football. Ryan McBean eventually got to him. Well, Brady Quinn making his 5th NFL start. The Ohio native was 21 of 35 with a touchdown and an interception last week in the opener.
And right away we see the confidence Coach Mangini has in Brady Quinn, coming out and throwing with the ball deep in Denver territory. But Brady Quinn got to be careful, held the ball for an awful long time. They almost took a bad sack on the first play.
2nd down. They keep it on the ground. Lewis picks up 2. It'll be 3rd and 8. It's Mario Hagan, the outside linebacker. Came over from Buffalo in the offseason in his 7th year out of Mississippi State. 3rd and 8. The Browns have not scored a touchdown on their opening possession since November of 2007. Jerome Harrison has checked in the backfield for the Browns. From the shotgun, Quinn. Plenty of time. Guns it over the middle. That is caught. It's going to be a 1st down. Braylon Edwards, and that quiets the crowd.
Well, I told you on the first pass, Brady Quinn holding the ball a long time right there. Again, great protection by his offensive line. Plenty of time to survey the field. That's one of the things the Broncos really wanted to do this year, was get some more pressure on the quarterback. Brady Quinn had all day to step up and in that pocket find Braylon Edwards over the middle. Made a nice catch. Everybody knows all the grief he's gotten about his hands, but that was a nice, tough catch over the middle for Braylon Edwards.
That was good for 14 yards. Lewis fighting his way down to the 5. It'll be 2nd and goal. Jamal Lewis cuts back inside and is down to about the 3-yard line. It'll be 3rd and goal.
You talk about this revamped Denver defense under Mike Nolan, defensive coordinator. 2 of the big focuses, and Josh McDaniels told us this, the 2 big focuses were to get bigger on defense, as you stated, Bill, but also to try and create more turnovers. Only 13 last year for the Denver Broncos. Mike Nolan, known as one of the best in the business as far as creating turnovers, got an experienced secondary with 3 new people back there.
They spotted at the 4. 3rd and goal. Harrison is in the backfield. Quinn, again, plenty of time. Guns it to the outside. Furry was the intended receiver, incomplete.
And you saw Alfonso Smith, number 33, the rookie 2nd-round draft choice for the Broncos, who's their nickel corner, came in and did a good job on the experienced nickel receiver. And Furry for the Cleveland Browns. Brady Quinn really didn't have a chance to put that ball on him at all.
So Phil Dawson will come out. He was 2 for 2 in field goal tries in week 1. 22 yards out, and it's good. So the Browns unable to get into the end zone, but they come away with 3 points.
That's a little disappointing for Eric Mangini and the Browns. You get the ball there in the first play of the game, turned over about the 22-yard line. You're expecting to come out of that with 7 and really gain momentum. This is a Browns team that really has struggled getting the ball in the end zone at all, but especially in the first quarter. Been a very long time. It really is. I mean, you compare that to other teams, Bill, 24 games, it's not even close to anybody else in the NFL. And you take it a step further, you look at their scoring in the first quarter over the since the beginning of the last season, 2008, they'd averaged less than 3 points in the first quarter over the course of those 17 games. So really not a team that starts quick, I think that's safe to say. Immediately we see a change in the deep man for the Denver Broncos. Peyton Hillis was back deep on that first kick. We've got Eddie Royal back there now.
He's back about 2 yards deep in the end zone, sprinting over, and it goes out of bounds. So it'll be a touchback. They'll bring it out to the 20, and that is where the Broncos with Kyle Orton will go to work. So after the turnover on the opening kickoff, this is the opening possession for the Denver Broncos. Buckholter, play action. Orton will throw, guns it, and that is caught. Jabbar Gaffney was wide open. A nice pickup on first down. He had beat Brandon McDonald, the cornerback. Good for 25 yards.
Well, really nice throw by Kyle Orton. You know, I like the way the ball comes out of his hand with that glove on there right now, protecting the finger that he injured back in the preseason. Good, strong throw, good protection, standing up in there, and deep comeback to Jabbar Gaffney. Nice way to start it off.
All the way to the 45-yard line. We have whistles before the snap. Pete Morelli is our referee today.
False start. Number 62, offense, 5-yard penalty remains. First down.
So first and 10 at the 40. Orton straight back up the sideline. Marshall slipped. Incomplete. Eric Wright had good coverage.
And there you saw Cleveland coming with a pretty strong blitz there. You had Rodney Poole, the strong safety, coming off of Kyle Orton's left side. He knew he had one-on-one coverage with Brandon Marshall on arguably one of the top 5 cornerbacks, Eric Wright, in the NFL, number 24, according to Kyle Orton. And Marshall just got tripped up a little bit. Kyle Orton lucky that that ball was not picked off.
Second and 10. Throw back. Stokely. And he loses 2 or 3 yards. We want to welcome those of you who watched the Bengals win over the Packers here in Denver. Turnover on the opening kickoff led to 3 points for the Cleveland Browns, and this is the opening possession for the Denver Broncos, facing a 3rd and long situation. They have to get all the way to the Cleveland 45-yard line for a first down. Short drop, they run the slant, incomplete. And do we have a penalty flag? No. Gaffney was the intended receiver. Now we do have a flag on the other side of the field.
Holding. Number 23 of the defense. 5-yard penalty, automatic. First down.
Brandon McDonald, he got burned for a 93-yard touchdown pass against Eddie Royal. And that has stung for the last 6 months.
Now look at the big man right there, Sean Rogers, number 92, playing over the nose in this Cleveland Browns 3-4 defense. One of the biggest men in the NFL, but creating pressure, putting pressure on Kyle Orton. Good job by the big man, known primarily as a run stopper, but obviously he likes to get to the quarterback too.
So a fresh set of downs from the 41. Buckholter. Orton, no one there. Marshall was in the vicinity.
Well, you saw a lot of moving around before the snap on that play by the Cleveland Browns, and I think what Kyle Orton saw right there, Abram Elam, number 26, is a strong safety, for the Cleveland Browns. He lined up over the wide receiver, Brandon Marshall, and then he came on a blitz. Kyle Orton was expecting Brandon Marshall to adjust and look for the ball. Brandon Marshall had no idea.
Up quickly on 3rd and 8 from the shotgun. Orton trying to set up the screen. And the Browns were all over that one. Great penetration by Shaun Rogers.
Again, yeah, they're trying to set up the screen to this side, Bill, to the right side of the field, and Shaun Rogers putting pressure. Really read well by the Cleveland Browns defense. And this is the Broncos offense they really did not find the rhythm at all last week. Only 10 first downs. But the one thing Kyle Orton did do last week, he protected the football. No turnovers. That allowed them to stay in the ball game.
Return on to punt, the always dangerous Joshua Cribbs back deep for Cleveland, standing at his own 7-yard line. Punt return for a touchdown in week 1. He'll field this one at the 6. He's got some room. Trying to get to the outside and is upended at the 12. A nice open field tackle. After the 52-yard punt, Cleveland starts at their own 12-yard line. Second possession, leading 3-0. Cleveland trying to end a 7-game losing streak going back to last season. They haven't won since November 17th, 29-27 at Buffalo, and they have an 8-game losing streak against Denver. 1st and 10 from the 12. Quinn will throw. Again with time. Over the middle, incomplete. Cribbs was the intended receiver. He never was able to bring it in. Big hit by Brian Dawkins.
And you know what, Bill? That's Josh Cribbs, a former college quarterback. He returns punts, he returns kicks, does a lot on special teams. But I can tell you right now, he hasn't come across the middle in the NFL many times as a wide receiver. He was expecting to get hit. He kind of took his eyes off that ball for a split second. That was all it took to miss that football.
So 2nd and 10. Jerome Harrison back in the game for Cleveland. Royal is the motion man. They give it to Harrison. Missed the last 3 preseason games and the opener. 3rd and 9 for Cleveland. Low snap, ball's on the ground. Broncos may have it, and they do.
Like they do. And Eric Mangini says these are things that just cannot happen. Good football teams do not, number one, turn the ball over in their own end of the field, but look at this. It's a low snap on the ground. You got the rookie center, Alex Mack, who said last week in his opening game in the NFL, he said he was a little nervous. Some of his snaps were a little bit offline, off target. That is a terrible time to have a bad snap. And obviously the Denver Broncos more than happy, Darrell Reed, to fall on that football, give his offense a chance to score. Good field position here.
So both teams with a turnover deep into the opponent's territory. Marino battling his way down inside the 5-yard line. The rookie out of Georgia, the 12th overall selection in the draft, carried the ball 8 times for 18 yards in his first NFL game last week. Second and goal. Browns were only able to come away with 3 points when they got the fumble after the opening kickoff. Marino. Tough yards inside for the rookie.
Good, hard, physical run over the right side of that offensive line for the Denver Broncos, one of the very best offensive lines in football.
We talked with Josh McDaniels about Knowshon Marino. He said he's really been impressed with him. He said since he got here, he's shown a maturity way beyond his years. He's been a fast learner, hates to make mistakes, makes plays in practice all the time, and he has a chance to be a team leader even as a rookie.
Hey, come over here, baby.
If I'm the Cleveland Browns right now, I'm looking for a play-action pass on the left side of the Broncos, over flexing out right there is Tony Scheffler. He's a big target, maybe one-on-one at fade to the corner.
3rd and goal from the 2. They run the slant, touchdown. What a grab. And that's Tony Scheffler.
Well, we were right about him being the target down there. Get him maxed out there, split out there on a smaller defensive back. I thought they might try to throw it up to the corner. Instead, they let him use his big body to get inside. Kyle Orton, no hesitation to go to that matchup. Actually, it's a linebacker. That's Cameron Wembley, I think, number 95. That is a total mismatch. Good game planning by Josh McDaniel and the Denver Broncos, knowing they'd get that kind of an adjustment from the Cleveland Browns.
Prater on to try the extra point. And it's good. We're back, 8:03 left in the first, 7-3 Denver. Scheffler with the 2-yard touchdown reception from Kyle Orton. That after the turnover. So they come away with 7. Cleveland, after they got a turnover on the opening kickoff, only able to come away with 3 points. Broncos with 30 new players on the roster, including those on reserve. That's over a 50% turnover. The Browns started the season with 23 new faces on the roster from last year, more than a 40% turnover, including 11 rookies or first-year players. 9 of them are former New York Jets. 7 of the team's 8 draft picks made the opening day roster.
Bill, we got here this morning preparing for this game. The sun was out. It was a beautiful day. Now you can see the ball being held. The wind is picked up and the weather's changing.
Look at this. Out of the end zone. Prater got all of that.
Well, Bill, talk about that last matchup on the touchdown. This is not a place where Cameron Wembley looks comfortable. You can see he's not used to being out in space. He's really more of a defensive end than he is an outside linebacker.
Marino over there.
Yeah, look at the rookie Marino. He is an excitable. Coach Josh McDaniel told us he's never met a player who enjoys football more than Sean Marino.
Loves the game. Loves being out there and playing it. So let's see how Cleveland responds. Lewis alone in the backfield. Royal, the motion man. Keep it on the ground, right side, trying to pound it in. Lewis had 11 carries for 57 yards. 2nd and 7 for the Browns. Vickers has checked in, the fullback. Toss left. Lewis has a seam. Jamal Lewis, a first down and out of bounds at the 35-yard line. From the 35, 1st and 10. Quinn under pressure. Rolling to his right. He's going to keep it and run out of bounds after a pickup of 5 yards. So that's a pretty nice play out of nothing. Brian Dawkins forced him out.
That's one of the things Brady Quinn can do for you. He is a big, mobile quarterback, and he's not afraid to tuck it and go if he has to. He's not what I would call a running quarterback by any stretch of the imagination, but he is not afraid of tucking it and going, not afraid of the contact. It's one of the things that Coach Eric Mangini likes about him.
So 2nd and 5, as opposed to 2nd and long if he had been sacked. Vickers in motion. Lewis fighting his way to the 43-yard line. Andre Davis, the longtime Cleveland Brown, played 6 years in Cleveland, made the stop. Former 5th-round pick, rather, by the Browns in 2002.
But a very, very significant defensive addition for Coach Josh McDaniels. They've been very pleased with him. Inside linebacker in that 3-4 scheme they've implemented.
They go from the shotgun. Harrison has checked in at running back. Again with time. That's caught right near the first down marker.
They're going to give him the spot.
Furry made the catch, and it's going to be a first down. They'll move the chains.
Bill, one of the things that I think this Cleveland Browns team has to do, not only today, but in general, is learn how to make some plays up the field. Brady Quinn in his development has not really taken many shots or had many chances to make the plays up the field. I think Braylon Edwards is the first guy that everybody thinks about, but they've got to establish somebody up the field in order to stretch the defense a little bit.
Lewis is back in. They give it to him, faking the reverse, and he's stacked up after a pickup of a yard or two. Cleveland's passing offense, those numbers don't lie, since week 11 of last year, last in those categories in the National Football League.
You're talking about 116 yards passing in the NFL, 117 yards passing. Pass completion percentage under 50% is just not acceptable. But you got some young quarterbacks, you've had instability in the whole organization. But Brady Quinn has got to start stepping it up and showing he's the man that can handle this opportunity.
2nd and 9. Quinn will throw. Lots of time over the middle. Edwards. And he was a step away from going the distance. Ronaldo Hill was able to bring him down.
They caught the right defense. Denver getting caught up a little bit in the play action. A lot of people up near the line of scrimmage, and Braylon Edwards did not have to even find a zone. It was a zone defense by the Denver Broncos, but nobody dropped deep into the middle zones of the field, allowing Braylon Edwards and Brady Quinn basically to play throw and catch.
That was a pickup of 20 yards. So from the Denver 34-yard line, Lewis rushed for more than 1,000 yards in both his seasons with the Browns. He'd love to get in the end zone. He has not scored a touchdown since week 10 of last season. That came against Denver. He'll leave the field. Jerome Harrison will check in.
You know, Bill, it's been 176 rushing plays coming into this game since the Cleveland Browns scored a rushing touchdown. That is by far, again, the longest drought in the NFL.
2nd and 8. Take it to Harrison. Quinn dumps it off to Harrison. He's tackled immediately after a pickup of 1. That'll bring up 3rd down. Andre Davis made the stop.
Well, it doesn't look like much, and it really isn't in terms of stats and everything like that, but Brady Quinn, his mobility allowed him to buy a little extra time, prevent the sack, pick up an extra yard, and make it a 3rd and 6 situation, 3rd and 7, rather than having a 3rd and 8 to 10 or even more if he would have taken a sack there. Big difference from a play calling perspective.
Have to get it to the 24-yard line for a 1st down. Harrison stays in the game. Quinn from the shotgun. 3rd and 6. Guns it to the sidelines. This is going to be well short of a 1st down. Back to the line of scrimmage. Cribbs with the catch, but no running room. Champ Bailey closed in a hurry.
Well, there are certain things that a young quarterback needs to learn, and that's situational choices. And right there, you're taking a short throw against one of the best corners in the NFL. On the left side, he had a very good receiving running back in Jerome Harris, singled up against Kenny Peterson, defensive end, 295 pounds. That play could have gone for 15 or more yards. Would have been a big play for the Browns.
47-yard try for Dawson. Already has 1, and he has a 2nd. Eddie Royal, back team for Denver. It's gotten breezy, so this will be into the wind a little bit. Royal will take it 2 yards deep in the end zone. Dives forward to the 19-yard line. Goes back to work. Trying to win their 10th straight home opener. But they've been tough all through September here in Denver. An overall record of 12-1 at home in September since 2002. Buckholter on the toss left with some room. That's a nice pickup on 1st down to the 30-yard line.
Well, Bill, you look at these guys up front. Ryan Clady right here, the big 1st-round draft choice last year, regarded as one of the best offensive linemen, young offensive linemen in the NFL. Look at him get out there and run. Eric Mangini said he is so athletic. You just can't even expect anybody to get past him and pass block him. But you can see right there, you can get out and run over people as well.
Pickup of 11, so 1st and 10 from the 30. Buckholter again. Tries the right tackle, picks up 2. Buckholter said he had a little trouble with the altitude when he first got here to Denver. He said, just going up the stairs, I would be out of breath. He said, now I'm okay. He said, but it took a little bit of getting used to. In his 9th season, but he's pretty fresh for a 9th-year running back. He missed 3 seasons in his career because of knee issues. So they felt in bringing him in that he would be pretty fresh and it would give Sean Marino a chance to ease himself into the lineup. Marshall in motion. Orton over the middle to Marshall, makes the catch at the 35-yard line and spun back. Eric Wright made the stop. Could be the last play of the opening period.
Now you see Kyle Orton right there being very conservative, very protective with the football right now. He has not thrown an interception in the first quarter in a very long time, 147 passes.
Ready to start the second quarter. 3rd and 5 for Denver from their own 35-yard line. Orton from the shotgun. Buckholter in the backfield. Tight formation bunched on the right side. That's where Orton looks. Across the middle. Stokely. Brandon Stokely. Down inside the 30. Hank Poteet saved a touchdown.
Well, Hank Poteet got burned pretty quick off the ball. He did save the touchdown, you're right, Bill, but very nicely executed play. Kyle Orton standing strong in the pocket under pressure. Brandon Stokely came from the right side of the field. They had 3 receivers over there. He came up underneath, used his teammates as kind of picks, if you will, and a lot of room underneath. Man-to-man defense provides a lot of opportunities to make plays.
It was good for 37 yards. So from the Cleveland 28-yard line, Buckholter.
And it shows you what kind of a heads-up player. You saw how he was trying to take some time off that clock, knowing exactly what the situation was.
2nd and 5 for Denver on the move.
This is an example of something you're going to see Denver doing a lot today, trying to get a pre-snap idea what Cleveland's coming with.
Lots of time for Orton. This is Royal. Spun out of bounds. At the 17-yard line, Cameron Wimbley made the stop.
But Bill, what I was saying was that you got a lot of things happening before the snap. Both of these teams are trying to get an advantage because they want to make the opposing defense show their hand. You can see a lot of stuff going on before the snap, and then all of a sudden Kyle Orton will step up and change things around a little bit once he kind of gets an idea of what the defense is doing.
1st and 10, they spotted at the 16 after the pickup of 7. Buckholter stacked up at the line of scrimmage. Picked up maybe 2. Eric Barton made the stop. Barton, of course, played with the Jets for the last 5 years. He was the only Jet to record 100 tackles last season in his 11th year out of Maryland.
Bill, one of the terms we heard a lot this week from both coaches and players, game plan specific defense. That means you're not really sure what the defense is going to do when you come out. That goes back to Bill Belichick. And any advantage you can get as an offense makes a huge difference.
2nd and 8.
There you go, doing it again.
Orton from the shotgun. Here they come on the blitz. Able to evade one man, stays on his feet, incomplete. Well, he had Eddie Royal. And Eddie is slow getting up. Lost his helmet, but incomplete. And that'll bring up 3rd down.
Well, Kyle Orton does a good job avoiding the sack. Well, they confused the offensive line for the Broncos, and as Kyle Orton rolled out to the right, he did a good job just getting rid of that football. If he would have had another split second, Tony Scheffler was coming wide open in the back of the end zone.
It was Eric Barton who had a beat on him. So 3rd and 8. Orton. Goodness, how much time does he have? Now rolling to his right. Dumps it off to Stokely, who goes for the change. And he's got a 1st down.
Good effort by Brandon Stokely, knowing where that marker was and kind of giving up the body for the team right there. The 11-year vet, not too old to give it up and make the extra yard for a big 1st down. See right here, he catches the ball, he knows exactly where he's got to get. Great job.
That was good for 9 yards.
And a great job by Kyle Orton keeping the play alive again, avoiding the sack. Not really a mobile guy.
And to get the 1st down, 1st and goal on 3rd and 8. To the corner of the end zone, incomplete. Royal, the intended receiver. Brandon McDonald had good coverage.
Josh McDaniel not happy with something on that play, but you see right there, Kyle Orton was trying to get up quick and get the matchup with Brandon McDonald on Eddie Royal, just over the fingertips of Eddie Royal. Maybe a little bit more air. Maybe that's what Josh McDaniel was saying. Get that ball up in the air just a little bit. Let Eddie Royal adjust to it a little bit better.
So second and goal. Just inside the 6-yard line.
There's Scheffler again right there. Big target. You might see something like this to the corner.
And whistles and a timeout. 11th play of the drive coming up. This drive started at Denver's 19-yard line. Second and goal. Just short of the 5. Orton. Here they come. To the end zone. Almost picked off, out of bounds, incomplete. Gaffney was the intended receiver, and McDonald had great positioning.
He really did, Bill. That was great coverage. Kyle Orton saw man-to-man coverage, thought he had exactly what he wanted, but Brendan McDonald in perfect position to take that ball away. Almost picked it off. He did catch it, just couldn't get his feet down inside. You can see that right foot comes down, in, left foot not quite, but a great effort.
So third and goal. Orton again directing traffic. Under pressure and hit as he released the football. That was David Bowens, who was in his face in a hurry.
Yeah, good pressure by David Bowens. And you're going to see him coming off the left side, the top of the screen there, right around Ryan Harris, the right tackle, which does not happen very often. The Denver Broncos allowed only 12 sacks all last year, tied for the best in the NFL. Right there, Bowens did something that got Ryan Harris off guard and forced Kyle Orton to throw that ball before he was ready.
Matt Prater on to try a 23-yard field goal. 2 last week against the Bengals, and that is good. The Denver Broncos trying to start 2-0 after that tumultuous offseason, the firing of Mike Shanahan, the hiring of Josh McDaniels, Jake Cutler's trade to Chicago, the suspension, one of the league's top wide receivers, and Brandon Marshall. It's almost as if everything calmed down after the season started. Cripps 2 yards deep in the end zone. Doesn't get it out to the 20. Busy day, week 2. National Football League season. We've had some surprises already today. From their own 18-yard line, Brady Quinn will go to work. Browns with 2 field goals, trailed by 4. Royal in motion. Keep it on the ground. Lewis, nice hold. Out to the 25-yard line. DJ Williams made the stop. And let's take a look at some fantasy football numbers. Matt Schaub with a huge day. Drew Brees solid again. Rushing leaders. Johnson at Tennessee, 197, 2 touchdowns. That was impressive. And Andre Johnson, after a quiet week last week, was impressive today with 2 touchdowns and 149.
That Houston offense passing game woke up.
And with time, dumps it over the middle to Braylon Edwards. Edwards tries to fight for yardage, and he has apparently a first down. Mario Hagan made the stop, the outside linebacker.
In our talks yesterday with Cleveland Browns, Brady Quinn, everybody, they feel they're very close to being a good offense, and they need some good, in my opinion, they need some good things to happen. They're running the no huddle right now, but their touchdown last week against Minnesota, first touchdown offensively since week 11 of last season. They've got to get the ball in the end zone. Feel good about things.
And it came in the last minute of the game. Up the middle, Harrison. It's a nice pickup to the 34, close to the 34-yard line. Dawkins made the stop, the safety. 7-time Pro Bowl selection with the Eagles. He's come in and added a very nice veteran presence along with Champ Bailey to this secondary for the Denver Broncos.
He's in his 14th year, but boy, he can still play football. One of only 4 players in NFL history to have over 33 interceptions and 20 sacks. One of the best ever.
Lewis is back in. Second down, they toss it to Cribbs, trying to get to the perimeter and out of bounds. And we have a flag on the play. We could have a horse collar on Elvis Dumerville.
And another flag thrown late over the middle of the field as well. Totally opposite side of the field.
Let's take a look. There's the face mask.
Personal foul, face mask, number 92 of the defense. 15-yard penalty, first down.
Dumerville.
And Josh McDaniel told us, so did Mike Nolan, defensive coordinator for the Denver Broncos, how impressed they've been with Elvis Dumerville. Weren't sure he could make the adjustment to their 3-4 scheme as kind of a stand-up end outside linebacker. He's doing a tremendous job, but right there, obviously, did not do anything that McDaniels or Nolan would be very happy about.
This only his second start playing outside linebacker in the 3-4. Costly penalty, moves the ball into Cleveland, into Denver territory rather, and incomplete. So 2nd and 10 after the incomplete pass. Keep it on the ground again. Lewis nowhere to go. A loss of a couple. Again, great penetration by Vonnie Holliday.
You know, Bill, when we talked to Mangini yesterday, comes from that line of coaching, Bill Belichick on down, so does Josh McDaniel, but they have these 4 core things that they ask themselves when they start evaluating each opponent. What do we have to stop? Who do we have to stop? Want to exploit what they consider to be the weakness of the opposing team, and then, of course, they want to play to the strengths of their team, both offensively and defensively. What is it that they do best that they feel will match up well against their opponent this week?
Browns trying to keep it alive on 3rd and long. Quinn, flush from the pocket, dumps it out to Cribbs. Well short of the first down. Out of bounds at the 43-yard line. So that will bring out the punting unit. Pick up a 5. They need an 11 on the play. Royal is back deep for Denver. Ready to field the punt from Dave Zastudil. Zastudil back at his own 43-yard line. Just over 8 minutes left in the half. A good high punt. They let it go at the goal line. We're back 10-6. Denver midway through the 2nd quarter. Broncos in their first 3 possessions. Touchdown and a field goal. This drive started at their own 19-yard line. This starts at the 20. Marino. Nice haul for the rookie. And he has a first down. Abram Elam made the stop after a pickup of 12.
A good solid run off the right side this time of the Broncos offensive line. Cleveland, fortunately, you had Abram Elam there to make a tackle about 12 yards up the field. But man, they had 9 men up near the line of scrimmage. If he broke through Abram Elam, there would have been a big play, a touchdown.
From the 32, again on the ground. Marino tried to spin out of trouble, but he'll be stopped for a loss of a couple. So 2nd and 12 after the loss of 2. Marino remains in the backfield. That's Gaffney, the motion man. Play action. Orton, lots of time. Finally gets rid of it, and that is incomplete, in and out of the hands of Eddie Royal. Royal quiet in the opener last week, just 2 catches for 18 yards. Set most of the Broncos rookie receiving records last year, 91 receptions, just shy of 1,000 yards and 5 touchdowns.
Eddie Royal, Bill, was not the only quiet one last week for the Broncos. Their whole offense was sleepwalking until that 87-yard immaculate deflection we showed a little bit earlier.
3rd and 12 from the shotgun. This time over the middle, incomplete. Gaffney was the intended receiver, but he was very well covered. Crowd wants a flag, but they won't get one.
Well, you'd like to see, I mean, with that protection, as you pointed out, Bill, I mean, he's had all day to throw the football back there many, many times, but great job of anticipating routes right there. You saw reading coverages, reading routes very, very well right there. Hank Poteet knew that route was coming inside by Jabbar Gaffney. Nowhere to go with all that time for Kyle Orton.
By Kern will be fielded by Cribbs at the 13-yard line. And he's brought down hard at the 30. And we're back at Invesco Field at Mile High in Denver. 6:17 left to play in the half. 10-6 Denver. Browns will go from their own 30-yard line. Lewis alone in the backfield. Vickers, the fullback, in motion. Give it to Lewis. Picks up maybe one. Well, what a day it is here in Denver for Shannon Sharpe, our friend and colleague. Talk about making an entrance. He's being inducted into the Broncos Ring of Fame at halftime today. And people went absolutely wild, skydiving into the stadium with the game ball.
Ladies and gentlemen, Shannon Sharpe.
And that's where his name will go in the Ring of Fame. That was really something. The crowd loved it. Quinn, lots of time. Checks it down to Lewis. And Lewis is about a yard shy of a first down.
Good job by Brady Quinn finding his check down there. Almost ready to leave the pocket, but good presence. Found his man, nice pickup. Now they got a 3rd and short. But boy, on that Shannon Sharpe thing, I was fortunate, I guess you'd say fortunate enough to be a teammate of his for 3 years here in Denver. There's nobody that enjoys being in the middle of things as much as he does. But what a tremendous career he had. And there's nobody that's more deserving of going to that Ring of Fame than Shannon Sharpe.
7 consecutive appearances in the Pro Bowl. Did you notice he refused to take a knee, even coming in with a parachute. 3rd and short for Cleveland. Off the I formation, Lewis trying to find a hole. And it looks like he's going to be short of the first down by about a half yard.
Well, we talked, Bill, about the goal of Josh McDaniel to get bigger up front, and they are not going to be a finesse team. That was a direct quote from him. Right there was a good example of what he's talking about. They've got a lot of beef up there in Ronald Fields, the nose guards over 300 pounds. Kenny Peterson, the end, 295 pounds, and Ryan McBean, 300 pounds. You had Vonnie Holiday in there, another big guy up front. They went from being one of the smallest teams in the NFL to being one of the largest.
Broncos defense has been tough. Cleveland out of the end zone. They've settled for 2 field goals.
This is returnable.
Well, lets it bounce, and it goes out of bounds at the 6-yard line. Broncos trying to win their 10th straight home opener.
Cleveland's goal defensively here is to have a 3 and out to hopefully give your offense good field position with only 4 minutes left in the half.
Marino battles out close to the 10. Pickup of about 4 yards.
Well, Kyle Orton had the stitches removed from his finger after the game last week. You see the glove on that right hand. He does not want the glove on there. He doesn't like it very much. I was impressed with how well he's throwing the football, how well it comes out of his hand, but as of next week, that glove will be a thing of his past, and he'll be happy to get rid of it.
7 of 16 for 79 yards. And a touchdown here in the first half. They toss it left to Marino. Ducks in, still on his feet. Great balance. And finally brought down at the 15-yard line after a nice pickup.
You hit it right on the head, Bill. The balance, phenomenal, but his agility. Watch the way he avoids the diving tackle right there. That was Brandon McDonald coming in, thought he had him, but just a little wiggle, a little pickup of the feet, and he avoids it, turns what could be a 3 or 4 yard loss into about a 5-yard gain.
6 carries for 26 yards. Eric Barton finally made the stop.
Hey, combo.
formation. 2:40 left to go in the half. Marino again. And this is going to be a first down.
Bill, you've mentioned it quite a bit. We have not seen much of one of the most dominant receivers in the NFL over the last few years, Brandon Marshall. 1 catch, 3 yards. He's been standing in that very position most of the first half.
We'll let them do this. They're not taking shots down the field. The clock is their ally. Let's play before the 2-minute warning. Buckhalter lowers his head and gets to, after the 2-minute warning, 2nd and 6 for Denver. They lead 10-6, 1:59 left to play in the half. The Broncos have run it the last 4 downs.
Man coverage, one of the things Kyle Orton's looking for. Who adjusted with Correll Buckhalter out there, a linebacker, man-to-man defense.
Orton has missed his last 5 passes. Incomplete. Buckhalter couldn't haul it in.
Well, you've got to give Cleveland credit there, because after the check, after Kyle Orton saw the man-to-man coverage with a linebacker, right there you can see DeQuell Jackson coming back inside late. Cleveland changed their coverage around to give Kyle Orton a little bit of confusion about where he wanted to go with that football. Good deception, I guess would be the word, by Eric Mangini's defense right there.
Rodney Poole came in and leveled Buckhalter.
Now they're showing an all-out blitz look here. Look at everybody up there at the line of scrimmage.
6, and here they come. Orton with time to the sideline. Royal. And out of bounds at the 31-yard line. Eric Wright pushed him out of bounds. That was good for 11 yards, 1:50 left in the half.
You know, not a great throw by Kyle Orton, but effective. You see right there, Eddie Royal with a double move on one of the best corners in the league, Eric Wright. It worked out well. The throw a little bit behind him, but I like the confidence Josh McDaniels is showing in his quarterback, Kyle Orton, putting the ball in his hand, letting him throw the ball back up deep.
6 incompletions. So 1st and 10. Orton, lots of time again, finally flushed in the pocket. On the move toward the sideline. Incomplete. Again, looking for Eddie Royal.
Now you got to have a motor to play in the NFL. Watch Eddie Royal right here. He's going deep and realizes his quarterback's scrambling. He's coming back to the football, trying to do whatever he can do to help out. Good job coming back to the football. Missed it by a few inches. Could get that 2nd foot in bounds, though.
It's so strange in this situation after you think about what he meant to the team last year, to see Brandon Marshall just standing on the sidelines.
Yeah, Bill, he is the only receiver in the NFL over the last 2 years to have over 100 receptions and over 1,200 yards, and he's just standing on the sideline.
2nd and 10. Miscommunication, incomplete. Royal was in the area. Here's Brandon Marshall. 4 catches for 27 yards last week against the Bengals, and Josh McDaniels told us we're kind of going over the depth chart. He said, you know, Brandon's going to be in there.
He said he's going to be in there, and you know, it's well documented the troubles Brandon Marshall has had. The suspension earlier this year and all the things that are happening, and maybe Josh McDaniels is trying to show him that, you know, he's going to have to try to fit into what he wants done on this football team.
So 3rd and 10, 1:38 left to go in the half. Orton. And that has caught Stokely with another first down near midfield. What a weapon Brandon Stokely has turned out to be in the slot.
Well, you see the defensive coordinator for Cleveland right there, Rob Ryan. Boy, that was a complete bust by the Cleveland Browns. They had nobody covering Brandon Stokely. Both receivers, you can right there, you see underneath, Denver ran a receiver on a shallow crossing route. 2 defensive backs jumped him, leaving only a safety deep, Rodney Poole, back there to try and stop the route. Stokely's going to win every time in that situation.
That was good for 18 yards, just short of midfield. Throw back to Royal, makes a step, trying to reverse his field, trying to get to the perimeter, and brought down after a pickup of 2 by Brandon McDonald. And he ran about 50 yards.
I would say at least 50 right there. Avoided about 3 different people along the way. And Kyle Orton trying to get his nose in there a little bit.
Wasn't pretty.
Blocked like a quarterback.
But into Cleveland territory from the 49. Under pressure, gets rid of it. Up in the air, and we've got a flag. Stokely was the intended receiver, and we might have pass interference on the Browns.
That was a good hit. Cleveland got good pressure on
Pass
Kyle Orton.
interference, number 23, the defense. Automatic first down.
Hank Poteet, who matches up with Stokely in the slot. Poteet, the nickel back.
Well, look at the pressure on Kyle Orton here. You see right there coming around the edge. That was Alex Hall, and then at the top right there, you can't do it. Illegal contact up the field. Poteet had his back to the football, did not really make a play on the football before the contact with Brandon Stokely. They're going to call that one.
So 53 seconds left in the half. 1st and 10 for Denver from the Cleveland 31-yard line. Orton, who's had great protection. And that may have been hit. His arm might have been hit as he was releasing the football.
Yeah, that's very, very close to being a dangerous situation for Kyle Orton, a quarterback. Under great pressure right there. Eric Barton coming in clean, and this is the quarterback's worst nightmare. Watch how the hands meet right there. And that can a lot of times spell a broken finger, and that's how Kyle Orton, exactly how Kyle Orton had his injury on his finger earlier in the preseason. Nothing good comes out of something like that for a quarterback in his throwing motion.
7 pass plays for rushes on this drive. 48 seconds left, 2nd and 10. Here they come, delayed blitz, gets rid of it. Stokely again. And out of bounds at the 21-yard line.
Well, Cleveland's doing a good job coming with pressure, but Kyle Orton getting rid of that ball, buying a little extra time, and Brandon Stokely making some nice yards after the catch. Right there, you see him coming underneath. Oh, boy, that could very well have been a pick called right there. I think Eric Mangini is going to be very upset about that. The linebacker who was defending Stokely, DeQuell Jackson, got slammed into by Daniel Graham, the tight end.
5 catches for 70 yards for Stokely. That got the first down. Orton. Lamont Jordan, who had checked in, was the intended receiver. Batted away by Brandon McDonald.
Come on, baby.
Jordan stays in the game. With 2nd and 10, 36 seconds left in the half.
And we got some pressure coming from Cleveland right here.
Blitz, and here they come. And Orton just gets rid of it. I think he expected Lamont Jordan to run an out. And he was running up the field.
Well, the fans don't like it, but Kyle Orton made a smart play there. There's no way Lamont Jordan can see that pressure coming off the right side. Kyle Orton said, you know what, I'm just got to get rid of this ball. He knew there was no way to pick up the blitz from the right side. Instead of taking a sack, which he got a lot of grief for last week, he took a sack that took the Broncos out of field goal position, cost him some points, almost cost him the game. Right there, Kyle Orton said, I'm throwing it away, live to see another day.
So 3rd and 10 for Denver. They lead, looking for more. Again, the delayed blitz. Orton gets rid of it. Incomplete.
Yeah, I think you saw Josh McDaniel right there, pat Kyle Orton on the back. Said, you know what, that's a good play, smart play. Don't take the sack. They're coming with pressure. We can't block them all. We had the wrong play called. Let's kick the field goal.
They're out to try a 39-yard field goal. Dan Marino in the NFL Today did a great job breaking down Cutler's 4 interceptions last week. And sometimes, he said, sometimes the best throw you make is when you throw it away.
I agree 100% with that.
Field goal try on its way. The wind gets it, and it's no good. No points after an impressive drive for the Denver Broncos. And with 23 seconds left in the half, it is still 10-6 Denver.
Yeah, this ball just, you can see the wind blowing left to right. You can see by the umpire's jersey there, and that ball, a right-footed kicker has got to account for that, because the ball is always going to naturally curve to the left anyway off a right-footed kicker's foot. With the wind blowing left to right, you've got to account for that, and right there, Prater obviously did not. What should have been a chip shot field goal, or a very makeable field goal for a guy with a really strong leg, nothing to show for it.
So 15 plays on the drive and no points. And And I'll tell you, they love Prater here. They love his leg strength. He routinely, they told us, kicks 65 and 70-yarders in practice. So Brady Quinn will take a knee, and they will go into the locker room, the Browns trailing by 4. So that's going to be the end of the first half, with our score Denver 10, Cleveland 6. Both teams have had opportunities, and both defenses have accorded themselves well at various times. But a nice stop by the Cleveland defense. Long drive toward the end of the first half, and the Broncos came away with no points. Cribbs standing in his own end zone. Fields it at the 4. Cuts it back and brought down at about the 18-yard line. Another conservative game plan this week for the Cleveland Browns. Jamal Lewis, the deep back. Throwing first down, able to pick up the blitz, but finally he's sacked. Back at the 20-yard line.
Well, a good start for the Denver Broncos, coming with the blitz right up the middle. Good pressure. Brian Dawkins right there, number 20. Led Brady Quinn to step up in the pocket and right into the arms of Elvis Dumerville.
His 4th year out of Louisville, playing at outside linebacker for the first time. They'd like for him to be productive. That's one of the keys for this Bronco defense. 2nd and 12 after the sack. Opening possession for the Browns in the second half. Jamal Lewis trying to pick his way out close to the 25, stopped at the 24-yard line.
Well, one of the big pickups that Josh McDaniels made this offseason, Mike Nolan. Not so much a defensive player, but a defensive coach who's really orchestrating this transition to the 3-4. We talked about what the Broncos were looking for, turnovers and big up front. Well, Mike Nolan 7 times in his 11 years as defensive coordinator has been top 10 in turnovers. His team's averaged over 30 turnovers per season. Denver trying to make a big improvement on their number of 13 last year.
Harrison, the 3rd down back, is in the game. They try to pick up the blitz. Cribbs loses the football. And the Broncos, well, do they have it? Yes, they do. After the fumble by Josh Cribbs, 1st and 10 for the Broncos, and a whistle before the snap. Brian Dawkins able to come up with it.
Number 89 of the offense, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
They call that on Daniel Graham, the tight end. So it'll be 1st and 15. Started with a turnover on the opening kickoff by the Broncos.
Well, we talked about the turnovers right before that one. Mike Nolan got to be happy popping that ball out from Josh Cribbs.
Marino's in the backfield. Orton straight back under pressure, gets rid of it. And there's Brandon Marshall with the catch. So out to the 37-yard line.
Well,
Marshall.
We expect to see a lot more of him this second half. We don't know exactly why he was spending so much time on the bench in that first half, but one way to improve the offensive production is try to find a way to get the ball to that guy right there, Brandon Marshall. 2nd best in the NFL last year to Wes Welker in yards after the catch.
2nd and 9. The reverse. And Marshall pretends he's going to throw it. Lowers his head and has a first down. Wow, that was some play.
Yes.
Pick up a 14.
Eddie Royal is the guy we usually see out of the Denver Broncos running the reverses, but here, Brandon Marshall, I think Josh McDaniels coming out trying to establish him as a threat in this ball game. And he is a big, strong. He's faking like he's going to throw, but there was no receiver down the field.
What a nice block by Jabbar Gaffney.
Yes.
So 1st and 10. Marino's the deep back, and they give it to him. Trying to cut back, nothing there.
Boy, I'll tell you what, I would not want to be no Sean Marino on that play. Sean Rogers, all 340 pounds plus of him, belly flopped right on top at the end of that play.
Coming off his 3rd Pro Bowl season last year. Such a disruptive force in the middle. Just great quickness for a big man. Dunk with two hands.
I'd have to see that to believe it.
I think he'd be willing to show you.
He probably would.
Hillis has joined Marino in the backfield. Orton will throw. Lots of time. Look at this. Finally checks it down to Graham. And he's brought down close to the 20-yard line. Daniel Graham, considered one of the best blocking tight ends in the league, but he had 3 catches for 40 yards last week against the Bengals.
Well, if I'm Rob Ryan for the Cleveland Browns defense coordinator, I'm thinking back to the last series of the first half when we were really putting that pressure on Kyle Orton, where he was throwing the ball away, trying to avoid the sack. If you let him stand back there and have all that time, he's going to find somebody. Now, they've done a good job covering people up the field, but he's going to find somebody eventually.
Stokely has been the man on third down. He's in the slot toward the bottom of the screen. 3rd and 7. Orton. And that time he couldn't haul it in. Stokely, the intended receiver. Usually sure-handed, but dropped that one.
You don't see that very often. Kyle Orton got just what he wanted, one-on-one, inside leverage on Brandon Stokely, and you don't see him drop the football very often on a throw like that.
So that'll bring up 4th down in the field goal unit. 38-yard try by Matt Prater.
Let's see if he does a little better. The wind's still blowing right to left across the football field.
On its way, and this time 13-6 Broncos, as we welcome you back to Denver. And Shannon Sharpe has joined us here in the broadcast booth. Congratulations. What a day. Look at this guy.
Which one's the real Shannon Sharpe?
70,000 of those masks.
70,000 of those today.
That must have been something for you.
The last 3 days have been unbelievable. We had the banquet where I got the actual ring for the Ring of Fame. It was just unbelievable. But never in my wildest imagination could I have dreamt my career would turn out like it has.
Well, it was a remarkable day. It was fun to be here and share this with you. Skydiving into the stadium. And then the great honor at halftime.
No Bronco more deserving.
At the goal line, Cribbs straight ahead and brought down hard at the 20-yard line. 10:35 left in the 3rd. Harrison is out on 1st down. And this crowd is roaring. Short drop for Quinn. Up the sidelines. Edwards over the top and grabs it over Champ Bailey.
Well, that's exactly what Cleveland needs to start doing a little bit more. Give number 17, your biggest and best threat on offense, a chance to make some plays up the field. Look at him go up and grab that football. Over Champ Bailey, by the way.
Well, Braylon told Brady Quinn this week that he said, look, if you see me matched up one-on-one, just give me a chance. Give me a chance to go and get the ball, and he did. 24 yards, the longest completion of the day for Brady Quinn. From the 44-yard line, Harrison. And he stopped at the 45-yard line. Here, Shannon, some of your numbers and your accomplishments. Setting records as the NFL's all-time leader in receptions, receiving yards, receiving touchdowns. 3 Super Bowl rings, just an unforgettable career.
Well, you know, a lot of things have to go right for you. You have to go to the right situation. You have to have coaches that believe in giving you an opportunity to catch the football. And you need a solid quarterback. I knew every single Sunday number 7 was going to trot out there and give me every opportunity to make plays for him.
Robert Royal is the motion man. 2nd down. Jamal Lewis ducks inside, still on his feet, and is brought down hard, just shy of midfield. What do you think about your Broncos so far?
They look good. You know, offensively they're moving the ball, but it seems like they get bogged down once they get inside the 20-yard line. You can't win ball games in the National Football League selling for field goals. You need to put teams away because Cleveland, as poor as they played, they're just a touchdown away from Beeline from tying this thing up.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, we're talking about Cleveland right now. They have the ball. This is the team that's only scored one offensive touchdown since week 11 of last year.
Wow.
How do you evaluate what's going on? Where's Braylon Edwards? What's going on here?
Well, thus far, I've liked what I've seen from Braylon Edwards because he's attacking the football. Last year, he would have tried to body catch that football, and he would have dropped it. In a situation like this, I think Braylon Edwards, he's your best offensive weapon. You need to find a way on third down to try to get him involved with a play instead of throwing it to a tight end. Unless it's Antonio Gates. Unless it's Antonio Gates or Gonzalez that's playing today, Braylon Edwards, your best offensive weapon, you have to try to give him an opportunity to make plays for him.
Pass intended for Mike Furry, incomplete on 3rd and 4. That'll bring up 4th down. Alfonso Smith is the deep man for Denver, the rookie out of Wake Forest. Sastadill's punt. First catch called for. Second possession for the Broncos in the second half. They started their own 12-yard line with some movement, but no flag. Buckholzer tries the right side. Picks up a couple. Let's, Shannon, go back and take a look at halftime. What a moment this must have been for you. The Ring of Fame. You're part of history now here in Denver. I know it had to be emotional for you.
It was very emotional. You know, that wasn't my intention, but when I turned around and I hugged my daughter and she started to cry, I just lost it. And like I said, for the Broncos to think that Shannon Sharpe, the little skinny kid from Glenville, was worthy of such an honor, it's unbelievable. Never in my wildest imagination. Never, never.
Marino, the rookie, and a late flag. Steve was telling me he would have cried as they were trying to push him out of the airplane.
Personal foul, face mask, number 92 of the defense. 15-yard
Call it on
penalty,
Sean
automatic
Rogers.
first down.
And that'll be an automatic first down.
Sean Rogers saying, I'll take the blame for that one. There's that big paw out there. Personal foul, 15 yards. That was not an incidental face mask. That was one that could have done some serious damage.
Back to the skydiving for a moment. You did 3 practice dives yesterday?
I did.
Jumped out of an airplane 3 times.
3 times. And I started to feel it because I was coming from sea level, below sea level to above sea level. And all of a sudden you started, to feel the lightheadedness and things of that nature.
How high were you when they dropped?
They normally drop you at about 12,000, 11 to 12,000 feet.
After the penalty, 1st and 10 from the 32-yard line. Orton, they did a nice job picking up the blitz, and Marino's right there for another first down.
Shannon, one of the things that we were talking about during the break, as we see the Broncos today are trying to get Sean Marino involved, a guy who they're expecting to make a lot of plays over the next many years. What about Brandon Marshall and the lack of him being out there on the field?
Yeah, it was puzzling to me also, Steve, because I'm looking at Brandon Marshall, and no matter what you think about his off-the-field behavior, he's your best offensive weapon. And last time I checked, you win more games when your best offensive guys touch the football.
He's got one-on-one coverage out there right now, it looks like.
With Eric Wright.
Single high safety. He's rock and roll to safety.
Marino takes it back inside. The 45-yard line. How about this one? There's what we were talking about. What are you thinking right now?
It's home free now. The hard part is jumping out of the plane and you tumble 3 or 4 times, going at about 150 miles an hour. That's the hard part. The easy part is once you get above the stadium, you can hear the roar of the crowd. Your adrenaline, your heart starts to pound, the adrenaline starts to go. You're like, yeah, I'm home now.
We had a live video camera, and you were waving to everybody. Orton scrambles back, picks up a couple. Sean Rogers was in pursuit and brought him down.
I'm a little confused by that timing of that play call. That was 2nd down and about 8 yards to go. Kind of a non-obvious running situation or passing. It was more of an obvious passing situation. They went with a 2 tight end look, maybe even a 3 tight end look, and hard play action trying to make a play up the field. It should have been maybe used in a 3rd and short situation or a 2nd and short situation where they're really loading up to stop the run.
Beeline, but as I'm looking at the Broncos offense up here, I don't see a whole lot of people getting open. I mean, they keep booing Kyle Orton, but there's no one getting open.
Orton guns it to the sideline. That's caught by Marshall. Brandon Marshall, and he gets a nice ovation after making the catch.
Well, we were talking about that in the first half, too, Shannon, that, hey, he's got a lot of time to make plays, but nobody's getting open up the field. And then right now, as we're talking about it, obviously, here goes Brandon Marshall. Right,
and that's what you have to have. The guy went to the Pro Bowl, 112 catches. No matter what, like I said, no matter what you think of his off-field behavior, no matter how he handles the situation in training camp, he is the Denver Broncos' best offensive weapon. And the more time and more chances he gets to catch the football, the better they are.
That was good for 25 yards. They went sweep to the left side. That's stacked up. I'll bet, JB. Thanks a lot. You guys have a great time in that studio and do an outstanding job. Orton will throw, ducks it under now. Gets rid of it. That was almost picked off. Eric Wright had a nice break on the ball, but it was short. So it'll be 3rd and 9.
Well, this is one here where Daniel Graham, the tight end, was open. It was you can see the blitz coming off the right side of Denver Broncos, and Kyle Orton holding the ball. There just wasn't enough people to block what they had, and you had Graham sitting on a hot route read, wide open. Nobody even covered it.
We're back and watch Eric Barton sky and come down on the knee of Noshan Marino. That could have been disastrous, but Marino left the field under his own power. Orton, Gaffney dives forward, close to a first down. It will depend on the spot. Looks like he's going to be about a yard shy. It was 3rd down.
Looks like Josh McDaniels considering going for it. He might want a measurement.
Spotted at the 19-yard line. They had to get to the 18 for a first down. And they're going to measure now.
He wants a little time to think about it. Shannon, you're right. You're talking to me here in the background. Cleveland has gone cover 0, which means no safety deep. They're coming with a blitz look, man-to-man coverage several times today, and the Broncos have not been able to capitalize on it once.
One time they caught they caught Brandon Stokely on the end cut, what we call an angle route, V-line, and he went for like 50 yards.
Right.
But he had Brandon Marshall on the left side on a slant route, cover 0, nobody to hope. The safety's not there because he blitzed, and he missed it.
Well, that's a situation where you want to try and get your receiving tight end, Tony Scheffler, down the middle of the field, or somebody on a post route, or maybe one of your slot receivers down the middle of the field over the top.
Prater on to try to make it a 10-point game, a 37-yard field goal try. 2 of 3 today.
Scott!
Again, the wind seemed to catch it, and it's no good. And we're back in Denver. We want to let you go celebrate with your family. Congratulations on your great day today. And
thanks, Bill.
We look forward to seeing you in the studio the next few weeks.
Beeline, thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, it was our pleasure. And again, congratulations. Shannon Sharpe. And there it is, the newest member of the Ring of Fame here in Denver. 2:49 left to play in the 3rd. 13-6, Denver. Cleveland staying in it. Delayed blitz. Quinn gets rid of it, and that's caught by Edwards. And that's a nice pickup and quiets the crowd.
Well, this is a play. You're going to see the corner coming off the top right up here. And look at this could have been dangerous and really could have been a penalty called. Definitely could have been a penalty called on the Denver Broncos. That would have been Andre Goodman going low on a quarterback. There was no reason for him to go low. There was no one blocking him into it. Could have been bad for Brady Quinn.
That was a nice pass, good for 16 yards. And spotted at the 43-yard line. Play action. Quinn again to Edwards. He hauls it in and into Denver territory. Ball is down, but they ruled that the whistle had blown. Mario Hagan will have to bring that back.
Well, let's take a look at how it happened. Braylon Edwards, you could tell he was expecting the hit. That ball was coming out, but it was not out before he hit the ground.
Just like that, Browns are in Denver territory. Pickup of 13 on the play. Cleveland starting to open up the playbook a little bit. Short drop for Brady Quinn. And he throws it behind the rookie, Massaquoi. 2nd and 10. Quinn, and that's batted down.
San Diego been decimated with injuries early in the season. LT, some offensive linemen, Jamal Williams on defense. Tough to win without your key players out there.
3rd and 10. Quinn again tipped at the line of scrimmage. It'll bring up 4th down.
That was 3 passes in a row where the ball was deflected. 1 up the field, 2 right at the line of scrimmage. You see Brady Quinn, big, strong quarterback. You figure he'd be up high enough to get rid of that ball, but that ball came out very low. Actually hit Elvis Dumerville right in the face.
Browns 2 of 10 3rd down conversions.
That's not very good.
Alfonso Smith, again the deep man for the Broncos. End over end punt. It's fielded at the 9. And Smith out of bounds, short of the 20-yard line. Big day for those quarterbacks. Matt shot 4 touchdown passes after an off week in week 1. Frank Gore coming back, over 200 yards. Andre Johnson, 2 touchdowns and almost 150. Marino stopped in the backfield. Good penetration that time. There were questions as to why the Denver Broncos decided, with all the problems that they had on defense, that they decided to take an offensive player, a running back, which was not thought of to be a position of need, at the number 12 pick. They said, you know, we had Marino ranked so high and so much higher than any other defensive player, we thought it would be a reach. So he was there. We didn't think he'd be there when we got our 2nd pick at 18, so we took it. Orton checks it down to Marino. Nice presence by the rookie and out of bounds. It's going to be a 1st down.
I think Josh McDaniels will take Noshawn Marino one-on-one in the open field with anybody, anytime. I was a little surprised that Noshawn made so many moves. I figured 1 cut and boom, he'd be by Eric Wright. But, you know, you talked about the draft choice, taking the 12th pick. They also were able to get the defensive help they needed in Robert Ayers with the 18th pick, so it worked out well for him.
That was a pickup of 11 and a 1st down, and that's going to be the end of the 3rd quarter. 2 missed field goals by Matt Prater, who's kept this a one-score game as we start the 4th quarter. Buckholter as they keep it on the ground. Denver 13, Cleveland 6. Broncos trying to start 2-0. The Browns looking for their first win under Eric Mangini.
Well, we did see a little life out of the Browns offense right there, but nothing to show for it. So Kyle Orton and his troops out there have an opportunity once again, despite giving away 2 opportunities with short kicks by Prater.
The Browns have gone 3 more quarters without a touchdown. They set up the screen to Buckholter. Has some room, cuts it back inside. Still on his feet. Corral Buckholter, we have a flag on the play, and he's brought down at the 27-yard line.
And from the looks of it, it's going to be Brandon Marshall for a hold up the field.
And that was a 41-yard gain. And the preliminary signal is it's against Denver.
Holding, number 15. Offense, 10-yard penalty. After the penalty, it will be 1st down.
And it is Brandon Marshall.
Now this screen was set up just perfectly. You can see when he catches that ball. Look at that lane on the outside. He's got blockers in front of him, nobody there. And you see Brandon Marshall right up here at the top of the screen. There comes a time where you got to just let go. You're in front, you're a big body. You've got Eric Wright, who's half your size, downfield. Just stay with him, shadow him, get in his way. You got a running back who's going to be able to make him miss. That's the kind of stuff that frustrates the heck out of coaches. You got a huge play, and then it's pulled back.
Marino. He's hit hard after a pickup of 2.
You know, we've been talking a lot this half about Brandon Marshall, and, you know, he's a guy that they need to have on that football field for sure, but if he is getting his opportunities on the football field, he's got to do his part and be a smart football player. Not only make plays, but also be smart, make good decisions, and don't hold your team back.
Marshall 3 catches for 34 yards.
I did like the effort, though. He was trying to block up the field, which is very important.
He's got one-on-one against Eric Wright. Simply trying to exploit that. Wright backs off. Orton. And that's caught. Gaffney. Jabbar Gaffney down to the 2-yard line.
And he just ran out of gas. That was that cover 0 that Shannon and I were talking about earlier, Bill. There was no safety in the middle of the field. One-on-one on both sides. Good protection. They picked up the blitz. Nice throw and catch. You're going to see Jabbar Gaffney. You see the inside coverage by Brandon McDonald. He's got no safety help. And once Jabbar Gaffney slips inside, it's just a race to the end zone.
49 yards. Jabbar Gaffney played the last 3 seasons with Josh McDaniels in New England.
It is 171.
So first and goal from the 2. We're back Denver by 7. Looking for more. First and goal from the 2.
71.
Well, a touchdown here for the Broncos would really put the pressure on the Browns.
Jumbo package. That's Hillis. Touchdown, Peyton Hillis.
Yeah, just a good, strong, physical run. Boy, I'll tell you what, Sean Rogers did a great job getting penetration on that play, but he was the only one. You see him driving the center. Casey Wigman back in the backfield, but Peyton Hillis was by him and too strong to be kept out of the end zone.
And Russ Hochstein, though normally a guard, was playing fullback, lead blocking on the play. Prater for the extra point. Got it. And we're back after the Denver touchdown. Brady Quinn will have to get it going. They can't be conservative now.
Well, you got 12-18 left in the game. Now Brady Quinn cannot panic and get too greedy. You're going to have time to get the ball back at least 2 times.
Gibbs will take a knee 6 or 7 yards deep in the end zone. From the 20-yard line, 12-18 remaining. Quinn checks it down. That's Harrison. Nothing doing. Andre Davis, the former Brown, wrapped him up.
That says it all right there, Bill. 1 offensive touchdown in the last 33 quarters. Back to November 17th.
And that came late last week against Minnesota, the touchdown pass to Robert Royal.
As we said, Brady Quinn needs to play like a veteran here and understand this drive is the most important drive right here. Don't get greedy. Whistles blow, a little flag.
False start, number 78 offense, 5-yard penalty still. Second down.
All that on the right tackle, John St. Clair in his 10th year out of Virginia. Move it back 5.
We had a great talk with Eric Mangini yesterday afternoon. He's got a vision for this ball club. He's not seeing it today. He didn't see it last week, but he's very confident they're going to get there.
2nd and 17. Quinn will be sacked. And that is Elvis Dumervil with another sack. And I'd say he's making the adjustment to standing up, playing linebacker for the first time pretty well.
Well, pass rushing has never been the issue right there for Elvis Dumervil. John St. Clair, the new right tackle, 10-year vet for the Cleveland Browns. No match for Elvis Dumervil off the edge. That's his 8th multi-sack game since he's been in the NFL.
4th-round pick in 2006. So 3rd and 22. From his own end zone. Quinn just got out. And Dumervil again. Why haven't I been playing this position all along?
Well, this is where pass rushers start licking their chops. when you got a team down late in the ball game where you know they've got to throw the football, and Elvis Dumervil is a very difficult matchup for any offensive lineman. He's short and stocky, but very quick and very explosive.
3 sacks for Dumervil. Not much room to work with. Zastudil able to get it out. This is the rookie, Smith. Flag on the play and driven out of bounds at the 45-yard line. Wait for the penalty. 9:55 left to play.
During the kick, holding number 94, the receiving team. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Just under 10 minutes to play. The Broncos trying to win their 10th straight home opener. Marino gets the football on first down. Picks his way out across the 35, dives forward to the 38-yard line. Sean Rogers made the stop.
On that note, Billion, previous 9 home openers, obviously with Mike Shanahan in command of this football team. Josh McDaniels trying to keep that streak going and doing a pretty good job of it.
Broncos trying to beat the Browns for a 9th consecutive time. The reverse, they keep it on the ground. Marino still on his feet. Again, that tremendous balance from the rookie. Brought down at the 46-yard line by Brodney Poole.
He is explosive, there's no doubt about it. When he sees the seam, he makes his decision pretty quickly and hits it. You can see going off the right side, and then as all great Denver running backs do, they set up that cutback. You stretch it to the hole and you cut it back behind it. You make one cut. Bobby Turner right there, the legendary running backs coach for the Denver Broncos. He coaches these guys up well, and they all seem to figure it out pretty quickly.
That was good for 17 yards. Marino 15 carries for 57 yards in the ball game. Buckhalter, big hole. Corral Buckhalter, what a move! Corral Buckhalter headed to the end zone. Will he make it? Yes! $45 yards.
I'll tell you what, it sure makes your job easy when you have holes like this. Look at that, the cut back again. This time it was a stretch play to the left side. You get these running backs up into the secondary, unimpeded, untouched. Boy, it's hard to stop. Corral Buckhalter smelled that end zone, was not going to be denied.
The Broncos pulling away with 8:24 left to play. The extra point is good. Broncos on their way to 2-0. Cleveland going to start out 0-2. This is again the deep man. Big kick. And he'll take a knee. Talking about what an impact he's had already. First down, Quinn to Cribbs. They'll give him that all day. To the 26-yard line. It's interesting that all the hubbub over Mark Sanchez. I mean, he played great today, but he's only 2 games into his NFL career. The Joe Willie comparisons have already started. You might want to give him a little bit of time before you make him buy a fur coat. That's caught, yes. Complete pass out to the 29-yard line again, Josh Cribbs.
Well, what I think we might continue to see here, Mike Nolan keep coming with pressure to try and force Brady Quinn to throw the short hot routes and keep the ball on the field, keep the clock running.
3rd and 1. Explaining the play to everyone. From the Cleveland 29-yard line, 27-6, Denver. Quinn, is he going to be sacked again? Yes!
And it's Dumervil again, I think. Yes, it is. That's his 4th.
4 sacks for Elvis Dumervil.
Boy, he is just eating up John St. Clair, the right tackle.
Welcome to the 3-4.
It's a mismatch from the word go. You can see he's doing the same thing every time. St. Clair even had him by the face mask there, which is why he pulled his hands off, but Elvis Dumervil was not going to be denied.
Alfonso Smith has to reverse his field, and that doesn't necessarily work in the National Football League. Well, when you think about all the turmoil in the offseason for Josh McDaniels, the fact they're starting 2-0 is to be a little bit of a relief.
Well, you know, Bill, a theme that you've seen with these Cleveland Browns last week, a complete second-half meltdown against the Minnesota Vikings. Focus this week was on trying to play better for 4 quarters. It has not happened. It's been more of the same.
Marino moves the pile close to the 35-yard line.
And how bad was it last week? Well, in the first half last week, the Minnesota Vikings had only 90 total yards, 43 rushing yards. In the second half alone, 182 rushing yards against them, 24 points. Today, not much better for Eric Mangini and his Cleveland Brown team.
Continues to run nearing the 6-minute mark. Marino again in the backfield. They give it to the rookie. Finds a hole left side. And that's a good, tough run close to midfield. And he has been impressive. Rodney Poole, the safety, finally made the stop after a pickup of 14 yards.
We've been talking about this Bronco running game, the stretch play on the right side. This was a change. They ran it to the right side, but designed to go behind Tony Scheffler back to the left side, selling him hard on the run front side. A designed cutback that worked out very well.
Smiling as he was leaving the field, and Josh McDaniels told us how much he just loves to play the game of football, and we saw it there. Jordan now has checked in for Denver. They give it to Jordan. Right side, just wearing this Cleveland defense down now. Look at Elvis Dumervil, all of his teammates. Oh, goodness. The kind of game you dream about.
You know what? Enjoy it while you can, because next week is going to be forgotten about, moving on to the next one. You don't have days like this very often. Josh McDaniel knows that.
He continues to run inside of 5 minutes now. Jordan. Veteran, he'll protect that football.
Well, one of the things coming up for the Cleveland Browns is, hey, look at this schedule. I mean, you got at Baltimore next week. That's not a place where I'd want to go if I'm the Cleveland Browns, but they're going to have to go and see what they can do. Then you got Cincinnati, then at Buffalo. Then what about these last 3? At Pittsburgh, Green Bay, and then at Chicago. Man, oh man.
Cincinnati beat Green Bay. They may be better than a lot of people think they are.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, Buffalo played New England tough last week too. In the NFL, you can't take any of them for granted.
So tough road ahead for the Cleveland Browns. Jordan left side. And he's got a first down. They'll move the chains.
And this is what makes good football teams great. You look at what the Denver Broncos are doing right now. They're a long ways from being a great football team right now. But offensively, what they're doing, and they've got a great offensive line coach in Rick Dennison. They've got a good young head coach in Josh McDaniels. They've got a great running game. This is a team that knows how to eat up clock, knows how to run a game out, finish off a game. Mike Shanahan and his teams always took a lot of pride in that.
Broncos have had 6 plays of 25 yards or more. Again, it's Lamont Jordan. Cleveland's longest play was 24 yards.
Brady Quinn, he's saying right now, man, when does this NFL start getting fun? It hasn't been too much fun yet.
He's seen far too much of Elvis Dumervil today, I'll tell you that. Jordan picking his way inside the 35 down to the 33-yard line. Day to remember for Elvis Dumervil. 4 sacks today, and only his second start playing outside linebacker in the 3-4. Elvis Dumervil enjoying himself. Last year, he was tied for the team lead in sacks with 5 for the entire season. 4 today. And this has to be encouraging for Bronco fans. Making the switch to the 3-4. So 3rd and 4 from the 33-yard line, 2 minutes remain. Jordan stopped at the line of scrimmage. Well, Eric Mangini, this is another long day. 1:53 left to play after the short timeout. They'll go for it on 4th down. Lamont Jordan just hanging on to the football. Brandon McDonald made the stop, and it will go over on downs. Well, let's talk a little bit, Steve Berline, about what Eric Mangini is trying to do in building the Browns program.
Well, you can't help but think that with the vision he has, the plan that he has for this team, that they're going to figure it out at some point. Now, it's not going to happen until this offense gets it going and they start giving this defense and the whole team something to get excited about. But this is a guy that really believes he's getting the right kind of players. He's establishing the right kind of mentality for this team to start doing some good stuff. It's just a matter of when.
See what they can do with the 2-minute offense. Quinn finally checks it down. That's Harrison. And Harrison is close to a 1st down. It will be just about a yard short. Clock continuing to run. 20 remaining. Quinn again with time, floats it out. That's caught by the tight end Robert Royal. He's had a quiet day and he can't get out of bounds, so the clock will continue to run. And this is the longest road trip of the year for the Cleveland Browns, and I suspect that the trip back is going to seem even longer. Disappointing outing today, 27-6. Quinn, all kinds of time, finally floats it out, and that is intended for Braylon Edwards, who can't make the one-handed grab.
Well, Josh McDaniels happy to see that 2-0 start for his team, but he'll be the first one to tell you they haven't accomplished anything yet other than they're off to the best start they could have. A lot of work to do. He'll be back grinding tomorrow.
Chargers, by the way, are driving, trying to get a go-ahead score against the Ravens. And without LT. 40 seconds left. Up top. Incomplete. That's over the head of everyone. Massaquoi was the intended receiver, but Brady Quinn threw it away.
And you see again Eric Mangini. You know, one of the things, Bill, that he talked about was the core qualities that he was looking for in players that he wanted in this organization on his team. And he was talking about these qualities being smart, tough, hardworking, competitive, selfless, and people that football means something to them. Guys where it really means something to him to be a good football player and a good football team. And he wants to surround himself with those kind of people.
3rd and 10. Check down to Harrison, who has some room, and out of bounds. Out of bounds at the 31-yard line. A 1st down. Clock stops with 27 seconds remaining. Looking ahead for Cleveland, Jerome Harrison is a guy they'd like to get more involved with the offense. James Davis, the rookie out of Clemson, is injured this week, so he was inactive. But Harrison is a guy that had limited touches last year, but was impressive. Averaged 7 yards a carry on the ground, 10 yards per reception. Browns need some playmakers. Quinn to the sideline, incomplete. Royal was the intended receiver.
Well, Bill, you said it right, though, there a minute ago. I really believe when I evaluate this Browns team, they do need to have another playmaker or two on this offense. I mean, you look at Braylon Edwards, he's a guy that people expect to make plays, but we talked yesterday and they seemed almost satisfied with some of the people they've got out there. But I love Josh Cribbs as the quarterback, or as a special teams guy and as a wildcat formation guy, but he's not an established NFL wide receiver. You've got to have at least 2 or 3 of those guys to make an offense really click.
And we haven't seen the wildcat today.
No, we have not.
Again, he tried to hit Robert Royal and incomplete. And that's a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, really.
Talked to Mike Nolan, and he said, gosh, you know, they're good. We got to watch this guy. We got to know where he is all the time, and he's really had a limited role today.
No doubt about it. We saw it quite a bit last week in their loss, but it did not have great success with it down by the goal line, but we still got the impression that it was going to be part of their package today. It never showed up with Josh Cribbs at quarterback.
16 seconds remaining. Steps up, lets it go, and incomplete. Intercepted. Darcel McBath, the rookie out of Texas Tech, came away with it. Joshua Cribbs was the intended receiver, but an interception for Denver.
I'll tell you what, Joshua Cribbs took a shot from Wesley Woodyard, the linebacker who was playing deep on this play. Look at him come up right here, 59, and boom, right in the ribs. And that did not feel good.
Well, in talking with Josh McDaniels, McBath has been one of the pleasant surprises for the Broncos. Early in the year, he played a lot in week one. The rookie out of Texas Tech, second-round draft pick. So this will be the final play of the game. He'll take a knee, and the Broncos will start 2-0.